At the beginning of the movie, we meet a young woman stranded on a desolate stretch of Chinese highway. Soon, a truck appears on the road, and the driver offers to help the girl, but his appearance frightens her. Suddenly, a car stops on the road with a pleasant and seemingly harmless guy behind the wheel. The young woman immediately runs up to him and asks for help, while the truck driver drives away in frustration. As the journey progresses, the woman expresses her appreciation to her newfound companion, and he notices that it wasn't right to judge the truck driver by his appearance, as he might have genuinely wanted to help. After a while, the girl tries to adjust her seat and accidentally touches unseen hand. With unsettling abruptness, the driver brings the car to a jolting halt and stuns the young woman with a wrench. It turns out that insurance agent Ma Wen recounts the tale to bus driver Lao Qian, who remains dubious of its authenticity. Among the passengers are tunnel engineer Han Shen, expectant mother Wu Yu, Tang Xinyu in her red dress, as well as Xiao Zai and her autistic brother Zhou Zhou. The crackling radio relays news of a severe accident along the Jinpan Highway, prompting Lao Qian to veer onto an alternative mountainous route, a decision unopposed by the passengers. However, the journey through the tunnel proves arduous as the bus grapples with the rugged terrain. Suddenly, the driver halts as a figure named Chen Jia obstructs the road, inciting a ripple of apprehension. Chen Jia boards the bus, unsettling Ma Wen as she recognizes him as a wanted criminal, prompting her to discreetly place a knife within reach. Meanwhile, Wu Yu's heated exchange with her unborn child's father escalates, culminating in her defiant assertion of single parenthood. In a fit of rage, she flings her phone out the window before seeking solace in the rhythmic motion of knitting needles. Ma Wen implores Lao Qian to reduce speed, citing passenger safety, while Han Shen notices that they've been driving through the tunnel for 20 minutes already, but haven't encountered any cars or seen an exit. The men advise Lao Qian to reconsider their route, a suggestion he reluctantly entertains. Despite nearly 30 minutes of navigation, the tunnel's oppressive embrace persists, prompting accusations from the passengers directed at the driver. In defense, Lao Qian maintains that his decision to divert stemmed from unanimous consent in bypassing the congested highway. Suddenly, Wu Yu notices her phone on the road and exits the bus. That sparks bewilderment among the passengers, as she recalls discarding it after they entered the tunnel. Initially, she remembers glimpsing the tunnel entrance, but now, the road stretches endlessly before them. An autistic Zhou Zhou calculates the distance Wu Yu through the phone, 246 meters from the tunnel entrance. His explanation, woven with precise details about the changing intervals between ceiling lamps, astounds the group. They had passed 74 lamps when Wu Yu disposed of her phone. Ma Wen contends that the tunnel couldn't exceed 3 kilometers in length, but Lao Qian counters with confidence, asserting they've traversed over 30 kilometers. Amid mounting fear, Ma Wen entertains the notion of spectral pursuit, but Han Shen advocates for composure and methodical investigation. Taking initiative, he decides to backtrack along the wall, utilizing a rope repurposed from Wu Yu's knitting supplies. Han Shen, accompanied by the unexpectedly proactive Chen Jia, ventures forth in search of an exit, while the remaining passengers anxiously await their return by the bus. As the journey progresses, the yarn dwindles, but Chen Jia unexpectedly finds a used fishing line on the road and Han Shen suggests tying it to the thread and continuing the journey. Soon, fog descends on the tunnel. The frightened passengers anxiously await the return of the men, as suddenly, the passengers turn in horror to witness Han Shen and Chen Jia returning from the other end of the taut thread. Their expressions tense as they approach the bus, clutching the fishing line. Their discovery shocks them to the core, an unexpected female finger, severed dangling from its end. As Chen Jia reels in the line, Ma Wen's grip on the thread tightens, only to snap abruptly, coinciding with the dissipation of the fog. In the aftermath, Han Shen urges calm and rationality, prompting a flurry of theories from the group. Lao Qian speculates on supernatural snares, Tang Xinyu considers hallucinogenic interference, and Xiao Zai posits the notion of spatial displacement, yet none provide a satisfactory explanation. Acknowledging the gravity of their situation, the passengers gather provisions and convene for a modest meal. However, Tang Xinyu's disdain for the fare prompts Ma Wen to accept the second packet of noodles. Han Shen suggests that they might have overlooked crucial details in their previous examination and proposes a thorough re-evaluation of their surroundings. Determined, the four men embark once more on their quest for an exit, leaving the girls and autistic Zhou Zhou to rest in the bus. Upon their return, a chilling realization dawns: the bus, cloaked in dust and cobwebs, bears the eerie vestiges of time's passage, its interior transformed as though it had languished for months. Bewildered, the passengers grapple with the inexplicable phenomenon, compounded by the unsettling discovery of spoiled provisions. Thus, the passengers realize that time passes differently outside and inside the tunnel. They return to the bus, and Lao Qian attempts to ignite the engine, but nothing happens. Suddenly, Han Shen finds a map on the front seat, although the men are certain it wasn't there before. Ma Wen can't believe that besides them, someone else could be in the tunnel who could set them up, but Lao Qian reminds him of the found finger. Studying the map, Han Shen notices that the tunnel on it runs from north to south, while the compass points towards east and west. Meanwhile, Chen Jia checks his watch, where the timer ominously is counting down, showing 1 hour 33 minutes 22 seconds left until it reaches 0. Abruptly, darkness envelops the tunnel, triggering Han Shen's scream. Lao Qian flicks on the headlights, but to their horror, he vanishes, leaving behind only a red streak on the pavement. Battling their mounting fear, the passengers trail the trace, which terminates abruptly at the tunnel's wall. Their tentative knocks unveil a crimson door, leading to a dusty chamber brimming with antiquities. As the passengers explore, unaware of the hidden camera capturing their every move, soon Ma Wen starts searching for food, while Chen Jia examines numerous newspaper clippings about missing people, and then discovers a tunnel drawing. Suddenly, Zhou makes a shocking discovery. In transparent containers lie 5 severed hands missing their ring fingers. Lao Qian swiftly connects the macabre discovery of the severed hands with the finger found in the tunnel and the unsettling tale recounted by Ma Wen. With terror gnawing at their resolve, the passengers yearn to flee the room, yet Chen Jia's revelation of 6 tunnels presents them with a daunting choice. Resolute, they scour the chamber for an exit, their attention drawn to a solitary calendar marking only one date, July 15th, a gateway to the next passage. Exiting cautiously, they are startled as a television springs to life behind them, projecting a distressing plea for aid from a trapped woman. Meanwhile, they find themselves in the desolation of an abandoned tunnel. Lao Qian and Chen Jia grapple with the implications of Ma Wen's narrative, the specter of suspicion lingering as they ponder the identity of the elusive maniac. Suddenly, they stumble upon their bus. Rushing inside, Lao Qian and Ma Wen uncover a box of fresh noodles. An unspoken tension simmers as Lao Qian's desire to hoard the sustenance clashes with Ma Wen's instinct to share it among the group. Lao Qian discovers a revolver under the seat and threatens Ma Wen angrily, demanding the return of his food. Despite this, he takes the food box anyway and declares everyone is now on their own. Feeling hungry, Tang Xinyu decides to seduce Lao Qian for a pack of noodles. Chen Jia then approaches Lao Qian, expressing urgency about finding a way out and noting the futility of stocking up on food due to its quick spoilage. Nevertheless, Lao Qian still shares noodles with the others. Deciding to remain by the bus, Lao Qian stays put while Chen Jia, Wu Yu, Xiao Zai, and Zhou venture out to explore other tunnels. Meanwhile, Ma Wen and Tang Xinyu head in another direction. Suddenly, Ma Wen attacks a woman in an attempt to overpower her, but she fights back, warning him of repercussions when Lao Qian learns of his actions. Tang Xinyu returns to the bus and once again acquiesces to Lao Qian's demands for noodles. Seizing the opportunity, Ma Wen steals food from the bus, but Lao Qian catches him and angrily attacks him with a large barrel. Ma Wen notices someone behind Lao Qian, and moments later, a steel rod pierces the driver. Terrified, Ma Wen rushes to the others and recounts the unsettling event, but the passengers immediately accuse him of various crimes. Despite his denials, Ma Wen dashes back to the bus to retrieve the remaining food. Amidst the chaos, one of the packs accidentally falls under the bus, leading Ma Wen to discover a hatch when he tries to retrieve it. With collective effort, they move the bus aside, revealing a hatch cover which they lift to descend into another red room. This room bears a striking resemblance to the previous one, albeit with severed fingers instead of brushes, and one container remains empty. They discern that each finger wears a wedding ring, indicating the maniac's targeting of married women. Subsequently, the television in the room flickers to life, displaying a woman submerged in a filling water pit, while Tang Xinyu uncovers photos of another woman, captured in varying stages of decay. Exiting the room through the door behind the calendar, the passengers find themselves in a damp, leaky tunnel. Their attention is drawn back to their bus, now filled not with food, but with snakes, rats, and insects. However, their examination of the bus is abruptly halted by a horrific sight. The passengers encounter 7 bodies seated at a table with rotten food, reminiscent of their lunch in the first tunnel. Driven to madness by hunger, Ma Wen seizes the spoiled noodles, only to find himself unable to stomach them due to his gag reflex. Witnessing Ma Wen's desperation, Wu Yu offers him a cracker. However, when he demands more, she explains that her unborn child needs the nourishment more. Despite her plea, Ma Wen, consumed by rage, brandishes a gun and forcibly takes crackers from the pregnant woman, as well as all the remaining food from the others. He proclaims his newfound authority to determine who eats and when. The terrified passengers press on, with Chen Jia's timer displaying 42 minutes and 13 seconds. They soon encounter another door leading to a similar red room, but this time, there's no passage behind the calendar, and the containers hold various body parts. While Tang Xinyu examines a skeleton clad in a beautiful traditional dress, the others watch the tragic scene unfolding on the TV. Abruptly, Ma Wen shoots the TV and declares his revelation, understanding why they cannot locate the next exit. Recalling that previous doors opened after accidents involving Han Shen and Lao Qian, he proposes sacrificing another victim. Tang Xinyu attempts to seduce Ma Wen in a bid for survival, but he rejects her. She retreats to the Red Room to freshen her appearance with old cosmetics. Simultaneously, Ma Wen aims to shoot Zhou, prompting his sister to intervene and shield her brother from harm. Ma Wen then demands Chen Jia to explain the consequences of his timer hitting zero. Chen Jia, uncertain, suggests Ma Wen might discover the answer himself. Enraged, Ma Wen instigates a fight, but Chen Jia wrests the gun from him, insisting on hearing the entire story about the maniac. Confessing, Ma Wen reveals that while he slept on the bus, a mysterious voice offered him an intriguing story. Chen Jia demands the conclusion, but Ma Wen seizes a piece of glass, pressing it against Wu Yu's throat, demanding the gun back. Regaining control, he compels Wu Yu to shoot Chen Jia, threatening her child. She wounds Chen Jia in the shoulder. Ma Wen offers to reveal the story's end to Chen Jia, but Xiao Zai intervenes, striking Ma Wen's head weakly, only escalating his fury. Dragging Xiao Zai into the Red Room, Ma Wen begins to choke her, while Tang Xinyu remains preoccupied with her grooming, ignoring the chaos. Suddenly, Zhou rushes in, attempting to aid her sister, but Ma Wen beats him. Xiao Zai starts to taunt Ma Wen, and he shoots her in rage, forcing her to silence. Subsequently, Tang Xinyu approaches the frenzied Ma Wen, who threatens her life. Abruptly, the room plunges into darkness for a few moments. In that brief interlude, Tang Xinyu miraculously subdues the agitated Ma Wen. After delivering another decisive blow with the sword, Tang Xinyu, along with Zhou, confronts the remaining passengers. They discover a new door concealed in the closet, leading them into the fourth tunnel illuminated with bright light, adorned with barbed wire and mannequins. As Wu Yu goes into labor, Chen Jia observes that time is dwindling. Zhou remains with Wu Yu, while Chen Jia and Tang Xinyu resolve to seek the next exit. Spotting their bus once more, Tang Xinyu confronts the driver with a single bullet gun, demanding answers about their predicament and a means of escape. Suddenly, she spots Ma Wen alive outside the window and, gripped by horror, rushes out of the bus, firing the last bullet aimlessly. Tang Xinyu flees through the tunnel, encountering numerous identical lifeless bodies. In the midst of the darkness, a vanity table materializes. As the woman gazes into the mirror, hands emerge from the shadows, slitting her throat. Meanwhile, Chen Jia, Zhou, and Wu Yu, whose newborn did not survive, enter the fifth tunnel enveloped in lush greenery, spotting a bright door in the distance. Hastening toward it, Wu Yu unexpectedly stabs Chen Jia in the stomach with a knife. The foliage swiftly withers, and the timer ticks down to its conclusion. Abruptly, Chen Jia awakens in a laboratory, finding another man beside him. It transpires that everything they experienced was a dream, and the sole reality was the initial road incident at the beginning of the movie. The police convene to discuss the case of the notorious maniac, Zhou, who, while attempting to evade capture near the Jinpan mountain tunnel, suffered an accident and fell into a coma. Zhou has already claimed 5 victims, married women whom he abducted and subjected to torture. He used fishing line to bind his victims and utilized their fingers as bait for fishing. There's a glimmer of hope that the 6th victim, Zhao Xin, may still be alive, prompting urgent efforts by the police to locate her. In a bid to save Zhao Xin, the police turn to the outstanding psychiatrist at the Brain Institute, Chen Jia, to try to penetrate Zhou's subconscious and uncover any leads. Shortly before this, the police found out that Zhao Xin is being held captive in one of the caves near the Shangshui River, but due to the rains, they will soon be flooded. It emerges that Zhao Xin is Chen Jia's wife, intensifying his investment in the success of the endeavor. Furthermore, it is revealed that the first phase of the experiment has concluded, with the second phase set to span 24 hours. In a subsequent discussion with a police officer, Chen Jia shares his observations from the experiment. The officer reveals that on July 15, 1996, both of Zhou's parents met tragic ends. His mother, an unfaithful actress, killed his father, a cruel petty trader with a penchant for fishing and alcohol, during a heated altercation, before taking her own life. Upon examining the photos of Zhou's parents, Chen Jia experiences a moment of recognition. Within the maniac's subconscious, they manifest as Tang Xinyu and Ma Wen. He confides in the police officer that Zhou, being a tunnel designer himself, began crafting symbolic tunnels within his subconscious, creating an endless loop. Chen Jia's task was to guide the maniac out of this loop and into consciousness, but it proved to be more challenging than anticipated, as he encountered numerous fragmented personalities within Zhou's psyche. Initiating communication with these personalities, Chen Jia hoped to unearth clues regarding the victims' whereabouts and identify the most malevolent persona among them. He found out that Han Shen represented Zhou's rational and socially adept side. Chen Jie even devised a trap, anticipating that this persona would dominate, but Han Shen's demise plunged the subconscious into turmoil. Lao Qian symbolized Zhang Zhou's cruelty, Wu Yu embodied his superego and idolized image of his mother, while the adolescence represented his autistic and feminine childhood essence. Despite his efforts, Chen Jie concluded that the most sinister persona wasn't present on the bus. Proceeding to the second phase of the experiment, Chen Jie encounters Zhang Zhou himself. Directly questioning the maniac about the whereabouts of the sixth victim, Chen Jie is met only with reflections on Zhang Zhou's deep-seated hatred for women, instilled by his mother. Chen Jie persists and discovers Zhou Zhou imprisoned in a cage. He implores Zhou Zhou to disclose his wife's whereabouts but is startled by the emergence of the feminine voice, Xiao Zai, despite her apparent demise in the tunnel. Chen Jie realizes Xiao Zai embodies the cruelest persona. Simultaneously, Zhou Zhou, reluctant to cause harm, attempts to distance himself from Xiao Zai. Witnessing this, Chen Jie encourages Zhou Zhou to assist him, presenting coordinates of the victim's location using a Rubik's Cube. Despite Zhou Zhou's willingness to comply, Xiao Zai suddenly ensnares him in darkness. Subsequently, Chen Jie navigates through Zhang Zhou's haunting memories and finds himself alongside Zhou Zhou in a viewing hall, confronted by his own dark persona. This dark aspect reveals that it orchestrated the destruction of all versions of Zhang Zhou in the tunnels, albeit through Zhou Zhou's actions. It asserts to Chen Jie that he cannot escape the loop and insinuates his resentment towards his wife, who accuses him of being consumed by work. Meanwhile, Chen Jie witnesses Zhou Zhou on stage preparing to harm his wife. Both facets of Chen Jie's personality guide him, and ultimately, the benevolent side prevails, urging Zhou Zhou to return to the realm of the living. Now, Chen Jie faces the daunting task of conquering his dark side before it engulfs him completely. However, the malevolent alter ego proves to be more formidable than anticipated, leaving Chen Jie with no recourse but to shoot himself, thwarting the evil entity's bid to seize control of his body and reality. As a result, real Chen Jie slips into a coma, while Zhang Zhou emerges from his own unconsciousness, disclosing the precise location of the sixth victim. Fortunately, Zhao Xin is rescued in the nick of time. Yet, in the concluding scene, we find Chen Jie back in the very first tunnel, with the same bus pulling up beside him. What do you think awaits Chen Jie? Share your possible developments in the comments below, hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. See you in the next videos.